So enough time has passed. The 2024 NFL Draft has wrapped up. I wanted to give my not quick, my deep analysis of what's going on within the Cowboys roster now, and basically give grades on what I feel on the overall draft and each draft prospect that we pick. As you know, we've been going on in this series. I've been going through each position group, uh, going over some film of certain prospects of like I would think one the Cowboys would target based on availability and how projections and whatever other teams were thinking, and based on you know just like how much they will fit this team and how like assessing our weaknesses from last year and going forward and how we correct them, so what last year doesn't happen again. Overall, in this draft, I'm gonna give I thought it was a great draft. Um, uh, Overall, I feel like a lot of teams did reach, especially. I'm not gonna dig too deep into it. I feel like Atlanta really, busted open in the draft. That's when everything really didn't go as to plan to like the normal mocks, and that's when teams, I believe started to pivot just a tad bit, and it internally affected the Cowboys later on in their draft. Cowboys had the number 24 overall pick early on. Um, I know they went in. Their guy was originally Brian Thomas, and if you were tuning in watching the draft with us, shout out to y'all. We had an amazing time. First round, you would know I was like hinting over and over again, like, hey, Brian Thomas is my guy. Brian Thomas Jr. is definitely my guy. So, like, I feel like that would be the pick that would move. Not it would scream like, okay, we're serious about this year because we would have been able to add a viable number two alongside CeeDee Lamb, and I feel like that was the Cowboys' plan too. And then right before I think 23 Jacksonville, I'm so mad at them still. But hey, I knew they needed receivers. Anybody was gonna do it, I knew it was gonna be them. They swooped in and took Brian Thomas, and you know what? I'm proud of what the Cowboys did. They stood strong. They had their eyes on their guy with the whole time, which I should have known. I went through. I had a bunch of linemen that I thought they would pick, but I should have known this guy was one of the guys. Shout out to the final word. Shout out to the OC. Shout out because these guys, man, he was head like he was hitting like right on the head with what the Cowboys look for when it comes to offensive linemen, and man, it's they literally took the route they took 2 years ago when they took Tyler Smith, and both these prospects remind me so much of each other. Not they're two completely different prospects. I mean, one is very gifted athletically, being in movement, and the other has just pretty much he had raw strength. His punch was out of this world, back breaking strength. He can fold you like a lawn chair. He's gonna maul you, and but they both had the same weaknesses, which had hand placement, and I just felt like not processing when it comes to their processing speed was they were overthinking it pretty much, like everything they were overthinking it, and it left them being a step behind. So that's why Tyler Smith resulted in a lot of holding calls, but this guy, he doesn't have a lot of holding calls. It's just you don't see it. It's just mainly his hand placement, and he just have a long frame, and they feel like that's something they can build upon. So yeah, but I'm gonna come back to that. But what Jacksonville did to us, in my opinion, on what I was going with y'all, every player I wanted, I felt like we got sniped. everyone, everyone. I mean, and it wasn't just except for like the first round. I feel like every player that we went over with each other. Like for instance, Tavondre Sweat. I thought he was gonna go late second, early third, and I was like, okay, he's for sure. You know, the Cowboys, we can for sure get him. No, he was like the third pick of the second round taken by Tennessee, and many can agree that was a reach for them. You know, because they already have Jeffrey Simmons, so. But I don't know their plan. I'm just look. I thought he would be there later. Jonathan Brooks being taken by Carolina. I thought that was a reach for them, but they're a desperate organization as well. You don't know, what's going on inside the minds of some desperate teams, and I can tell a lot of teams in those later rounds were just literally drafting BPA, no matter the position. Like there was a team I was looking over. No matter the position, they were just going BPA. Like their entire, their picks didn't even line up with their needs. They were just going to draft BPA the entire way. And so when you got that going around in the entire draft, and for you to go in context of what the Cowboys only signed about 2 players this offseason. They have been heavily criticized, especially by me. They heard it from me on, you need to sign players in the free agency as well, especially with the turnover in this roster that you just had and what we had. I understand you really put your trust in your drafting, but what Cowboys new media, Cowboys creators were trying to say, we were beating on the table to say basically, you can do both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do both. But if you think it's one or the other, it's not purely coming from a pure football mind. No, it's coming from business-wise or loyalties. Like that's what's getting involved. And I feel like you're handicapping yourself, and then you come into a situation like, the draft. I'm proud of you for trading back. I feel like if you did not trade back and this draft happened the way it did, this would have been an awful draft again, because you would have came away with a raw, talented prospect in Tyler Guyton, which I'm gonna get to. I actually love this kid, but we would basically be choosing which hole we wanted to fill. Is it tight end? I mean, is it tackle or is it center? And by you getting that early third, trading back and getting that early third, you can fill both. And I'm as a former old lineman, as you know, that's my specialty. That I was so proud of how they went out and with these prospects that they got. I know I didn't go over these prospects in my video, but I just didn't know that this is the route they was gonna take. So yeah. Overall, this would have been like the perfect draft if we would have made like 1 or 2 more moves. Okay, if we would have signed, more linebackers in the draft. I like the guy we got, and he's going to be able to translate Mike Zimmer's scheme, but just relying on so many low-end picks, and which I am these are some dogs, but there is that turnover, there's that grace period. As you know, every level of football, the main thing that you need to get accustomed to is the speed of the game, and some of these positions that they're playing, you're gonna have to it's gonna be a natural learning curve, and so. And I don't feel like we filled every need in this draft. The news just broke today. We just signed Zeke. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I'm glad to have Zeke back, 100%. But he's back he goes right at the top of our depth chart. That doesn't speak to Zeke. That speaks like how the depth chart is right now. Like he's not in that position. He's not in that career. I just know. Somewhere in this draft, they was going to take a running back, but they didn't. And I was kind of disappointed in that. I pretty much was. I know a lot of our guys got sniped, but it was like you took a corner. The kids, He might turn out. I'm gonna keep, but I feel like running back was a more defensive tackle was a more dire need, and I was kind of disappointed in that. We need a premier back, and there were a bunch of premier backs in this draft, and you didn't take it. So, yeah, we're gonna go and are we gonna go over this tape over the first round pick in Tyler Guyton, tackle out of Oklahoma, 6'8", 330 pounds. I've seen a lot of discourse on his name. Everyone is like, oh my God, they have mixed discourse. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I like the pick. I'm gonna break it down from a pure offensive lineman standpoint on what this means, and why Cowboys fans, you shouldn't really feel some type of way about this pick. You should actually trust this pick. I said it in the previous videos. One thing you gotta realize with the Cowboys is we gotta realize what teams are good at drafting. Every team is not good at drafting every position. So overall, I'm really on the teetering line. I really going to get this draft around like a B minus. Really, see, it's borderline, like 79 to 80 out of 100, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, in order for this, the next set of videos I'm going to make, I'm going to go over some guys who are going to need to take a big step this season in order for us to be really successful. Some guys that in their second or third year of their career, but for the Cowboys, we kind of need to see that step, that big step, whether it be discipline, physicality, production. So yeah, this has been another video. Until next time, peace.